From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Griffin. Now at 7, frontline workers say hospital resources are stretched thin because of COVID-19. An IU health doctor described for us conditions in the Methodist Hospital emergency room. He says last night patients were lined up in beds head to toe around the nurses' stations. Doctors and nurses had to walk single file to get through the hallways. A nurse with Franciscan Health described a similar situation in her ER. 10 to 25 patients waiting for beds at one time. The resource shortage that were a huge concern at the beginning of the pandemic seemed to be on the verge of becoming real.
You know, through the first wave and the second wave, whatever wave you want to say we're on, you know, the national concern was, oh, we're going to run out of ventilators. We're going to run out of ICU beds. We're going to, you know, et cetera. And I never really felt that that was going to be a reality. And I'm getting to the point right now in the past 2 weeks where I'm legitimately concerned that we are going to run out.
Doctors are also concerned about pregnant women. One OBGYN tells us more pregnant women are being placed on ventilators before or after delivering their babies. As of Tuesday, the State Department of Health says about 2,500 people were hospitalized with COVID-19. 18% of the state's ICU beds and 64% of ventilators are available. 4,733 new positive COVID cases were reported today and 68 deaths that took place between August 21st and yesterday. A vigil will be held tonight in Irvington at the intersection where 3 people were hit by a vehicle Tuesday afternoon. A 7-year-old was killed. Her mother and a crossing guard were hurt. A memorial has been growing outside of George W. Julian School where that 7-year-old was a student. Metro Police say before the crash, 2 drivers were involved in a disturbance, and one of those drivers hit another vehicle that was driving through the intersection. IMPD says the drivers involved remain on the scene. People living in that area tell us that that area has been dangerous and driving has been an ongoing issue in that location. Kevin.
Last night we were talking about thunderstorms, tracking those in central Indiana. This evening, a much different story. What a beautiful view as we look to the west with our Weather Now camera. Nicole, do you know, are we in a hurry during this half hour, or do we have time?
I think we have time.
We can just watch the sunset. It sets at 7:53. This may get a little awkward as I just kind of stand here and we wait for this to drop, but I'm willing to risk it for you. Okay, drier air, northern portion of the state sagging to the south. Humidity levels low tonight and tomorrow, which means our temperatures will really stretch out. They'll fall into the 50s tomorrow morning and stretch into the low 80s in the afternoon. We're currently comfortable, 75 degrees. Temperatures as we go through the evening will fall off into the 60s. That's where we'll be at 11 o'clock tonight. Temperatures in the morning, as I mentioned, quite cool. We'll be in the 50s in Indy. That's not the coolest temperature. We'll show you some of the outlying areas and we'll check back on the sun setting. Yeah, okay, Nicole?
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Kevin. The housing market is hot, but even when it's not, many Hoosiers face barriers when it comes to reaching the goal of owning their own home. WRTV's Stephanie Wade explains how the Indianapolis Housing Agency is setting up a new program to help.
This is a program that could impact a lot of people in Marion County, the biggest home ownership program the Indianapolis Housing Agency has done in a number of years, they tell me, hoping to help anyone who wants to buy a home achieve that goal.
Really high buyer demand. Everybody's heard about a seller's market.
Realtor Eric Pittner says today's housing market has been flooded with home buyers.
There's a lot of competition. And we're seeing competition at high price points that we didn't see in the past.
It's been a seller's market, which makes it a little bit tough to buy a home.
Because of this, the Indianapolis Housing Agency is trying to make buying a home a little easier for folks, offering up to 6% down payment assistance for households that earn under $115,000 annually and want to purchase a home of up to $450,000.
It also covers closing costs, which is obviously a big expense that the borrower then doesn't have to worry about.
Hoosier Homes is what IHA is calling it, making it one of the most far-reaching and generous home ownership programs available.
We'll be excited to offer it to as many folks in Marion County that are interested.
While Pittner says he still needs to look into the exact qualifications and details of the program.
I'm glad that it's here. It's obviously another tool for us to get people into homes, and we'll certainly take a look at it as agents, and certainly for me to say how else can we get people into homes, and if it's a great tool, we'll use it.
One more family that has a house that they get to call their own, that they don't have to worry about will their rent be going up, on a month-to-month basis.
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
At this point, there is no cap for the number of people who can participate and benefit from the program, and there's no cost to taxpayers or the government. The program is structured in a way that the borrower and the lender both win. Data from real estate brokerage Redfin shows how the Indianapolis housing market has changed recently. In Indy, the median sale price for a house is $211,000. That's a 14% increase over last year. Homes are on the market in Indianapolis for an average of 5 days before they are sold, compared to an average of 6 days last year. That's not a lot of time for potential buyers to look at a house, let alone put in an offer. An emotional day on Capitol Hill. The director of the FBI apologized to the victims of disgraced former USA gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar, sentenced to more than 100 years in prison. Senators are investigating into the FBI's mishandling of the allegations against Nassar, especially the Indianapolis field office. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has the latest.
You're abused to be very specific.
During emotional Senate testimony, a remarkable display of strength and bravery by some of the world's top gymnasts.
Being here today is taking everything I have. My main concern is I hope I have the energy even to just walk out of here.
Allie Raisman, Simone Biles, Michaela Maroney, and Maggie Nichols told senators in painful detail how they were sexually abused by former USA gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar. And they blasted the FBI for failing to stop the abuse.
To be clear, I blame Larry Nassar, and I also blame an entire system that enabled and perpetrated his abuse.
The hearing comes in response to a July report by the Justice Department Inspector General. It found FBI agents failed to respond with the urgency required once they learned about the sexual abuse allegations against Nassar in 2015. And then agents tried to cover up their mistakes.
They chose to lie about what I said and protect a serial child molester.
Nassar was sentenced to up to 175 years in prison in 2018 for molesting hundreds of gymnasts. But the survivors say they're still waiting for justice.
I am tired of waiting for people to do the right thing, because my abuse was enough, and we deserve justice.
FBI Director Christopher Wray, who was not in charge of the agency during the investigation, said he's heartsick and furious.
I'm especially sorry that there were people at the FBI who had their own chance to stop this monster back in 2015.
The FBI says one of the agents critical to the Nassar investigation was fired, but Simone Biles says agents should be prosecuted. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
Central Indiana's largest transit service is making an aggressive push to rebuild its staffing levels. Still ahead on the news at 7, the perks of the job and the kind of person it takes to excel behind the wheel. COVID-19 has taken a toll on Indigo. The transit system is looking to rebuild its workforce to avoid cutting services. WRTV's Rafael Sanchez explains how they're working to hire Hoosiers and what you need to know if you are interested.
Tequila Norris is driven to start a new career, from being a bill collector to soon collecting bus fares for Indigo. I met her on the 3rd day of driver training.
I love dealing with people. I love helping people. I love making people smile.
She's exactly the kind of person Indigo is looking to hire.
And then remember, as we back up, we just keep our eyes, make sure you're clearing both sides.
As the state's largest public transit system has an urgent need for more bus operators.
Urgent need. Urgent need. We're really working to rebuild our workforce after COVID-19. We lost quite a few drivers for a variety of reasons. They needed to go and be at home with their children or their elderly loved ones.
We'll just pull up in the straight lane here.
The company estimates it will need to hire 10 to 15 people a month to avoid any changes to its current services and to prepare for the blue and purple lines.
We want people who like people. If you don't like people, this is not the job for you, period. We want people who are safety oriented, who are detail oriented.
Before you can start Indigo driver training, you need to get a Cdl permit. The permit means passing 3 tests individually involving general knowledge, passenger safety, and air brakes. That's the first step in the hiring process.
To apply, you must be 21 years old. Training will take 8 to 10 weeks. And guys, listen up. You must pass your CDL test. Starting pay, more than $20 an hour.
Ganesha Berry has been with Indigo for 7 years. She's gone from being the most improved operator among her many awards and honors to now training future drivers.
They appreciate the potential that they see in their employees, and they reward you for that. They don't try to hold you back. You have to be real with yourself and ask yourself, what type of person am I? Are you a driver who is easily aggravated by other drivers? That's not good. Because you have to be patient, and patience is key. Patience is key with driving. Patience is key when you're dealing with the public.
Now public transportation and its future reliability hinges on people getting on board and embracing the help wanted call.
Working for you in Indianapolis, Rafael Sanchez, WRTV.
Rafael, thank you. There is tough competition to attract licensed CDL drivers. Indigo is not only competing with every transit system in the country, but school districts as well. Indigo hopes the guaranteed 40-hour work week and benefits will help with recruitment. Beyond health insurance, the company has a wellness clinic for employees and their families. Family members are also eligible for free bus service, and retirement plans are offered. For more information, just go to hiringhoosiers.com.
How does the debate in Washington over a continuing resolution or the debt limit impact your life? We show you why you should care about this unfolding debate in D.C. next.
How about this for perfect timing? Sun low enough on the horizon, the reflection perfectly off of White River and into our eyes. We'll talk about what I see for the weekend forecast coming up.
Recent hurricanes are impacting the supply of vehicles across the country. Inventory was already low before Hurricane Ida hit the Gulf Coast last month. Many of those living in Ida's path lost their cars to the storm, and now they're looking for replacements, increasing demand. Experts at J.D. Power say used car prices usually go up 2 or 3 months after a major storm, even when there's a normal level of inventory. Kevin.
We start with radar this evening, Nicole, not because we have any showers or thunderstorms in the forecast. These are the thunderstorms that were generated by the cold front last night. They've been regenerating this afternoon and this evening down to the south, moving away for central Indiana, and you feel the difference, the change in wind directions, allowing cooler, drier air into the state. One more view to the west, should be good-looking sunset, and temperatures fall all the way into the 50s. The core of the coolest air to the north and east of central Indiana. Follow the greens, and you can see where temperatures are coolest. 70 degrees in Richmond, 78 in Kokomo, temperature down in Evansville at 77. The wind will be fairly light, the humidity is dropping, and temperatures fall as cool as 54 degrees in Peru tomorrow morning. The record for Indianapolis, 20 degrees cooler than what's forecast, so no historical credit coming our way. And it's briefly cooler because temperatures, as you see, responding to a change in wind direction as we get to Saturday morning, already back to 67 for the morning low. Afternoon high temperatures were cool tomorrow, relatively speaking, at 82. Then we jump back into the mid-80s, and that's really where we'll spend the weekend and the first part of next week, with temperatures in the mid-80s, if not just a little bit warmer. Very comfortable tomorrow morning. Lowest humidity, at least of the next 4 or 5 days. It doesn't ever get too humid, but it does climb just a bit. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine. That southeast wind around 10. Temperatures will crest above 80 degrees. As you look at Friday, we'll end the work week with a mixture of clouds and sunshine. Jump to 86 for the high. Step into the weekend, and temperatures that are around 86 to end the work week will stay there for the weekend. Sunday may be just a little warmer. If we have a thunderstorm, there's a 20% chance for that on Saturday. The better chance for thunderstorms really arrives Monday and on Tuesday of next week. 7-day forecast, put it all together for you. Temperatures are coolest tomorrow morning for the entire 7-day forecast. Consistently in the mid-80s through Monday. Monday's thunderstorms into Tuesday, once again, leads to a temperature transition back into the 70s for highs. Nicole?
Kevin, thank you. There's a standoff in Washington that could impact your wallet. Tonight, Joe St. George is explaining what's going on in Congress and the complicated procedures so you can better understand what's at stake.
All these Washington phrases can get a bit confusing. Phrases like debt ceiling, reconciliation, continuing resolution. But they are major policy discussions underway in our nation's capital that could impact your life. Let's start with the debt ceiling. What is the debt ceiling? Well, it's the legal limit on the total amount of federal debt the government can accrue. It currently stands at around $28.4 trillion. Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen wrote last week to Congress that extraordinary measures are being taken right now to keep America's debt below that number. But she said she's running out of resources and needs it raised, stressing if Congress doesn't by the end of October, the United States of America would be unable to meet its obligations for the first time in our history. How would that impact you? Well, Social Security checks could be delayed, as could veteran benefits. Not to mention your 401k would likely lose value because the threat of a default would disrupt the markets. As for where the debate stands, Democrats could raise the debt limit on their own, but they want Republicans to raise it with them, arguing Democrats did it when former President Trump was in office. Republican leaders, though, have said they have no interest in contributing to any more Democratic spending. Next, what is a continuing resolution? That's important because in addition to issues with the debt, the federal government is set to run out of money on October 1st. A continuing resolution is needed to keep the government running. If it doesn't happen, national parks could close for a bit, and federal workers could temporarily lose out on paychecks. Democrats, for the moment, appear poised to pass something to keep the government running, but that vote hasn't been scheduled yet.
But we know what we have to do.
All of this is happening as Democrats are trying to pass President Biden's multi-trillion-dollar spending bill through the reconciliation process, since it's generating no Republican support. What is reconciliation? Well, it allows for spending bills to pass by a simple majority vote in the Senate and not the usual 60 votes that are needed to break a filibuster. With all of these issues taking place at really the exact same time, a big question is whether Congress can get it all done or not. For that answer, well, stay tuned. On Capitol Hill in Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
You could soon add Taco Bell to your list of subscription services. With the service, customers would pay $5 to $10 a month for what's called a Taco Lovers Pass. That pays for one taco each day for 30 days. The service is currently only available at select Taco Bell locations in Tucson, Arizona, so no word on when it might roll out nationwide. Panera is also trying subscriptions, including a monthly plan that gives customers a free cup of coffee every day. My sister loves Taco Bell. She goes there like every day.
Road trip. We're going to Phoenix.
We're going. Let's do it.
That would be great. All right, you can almost see Phoenix from here. It's so clear and crisp tonight. There's that beautiful looking sunset, 82 tomorrow, 86, Friday and Saturday.
All right, Kevin, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. Our next newscast is at 11 tonight. We hope you have a great evening.